Well, the media talks about all the demand destruction in oil, and it is true that recessions temporarily tame back our appetite for oil. The real story is what the recession's doing for world oil supply. Because today's global oil industry isn't built for $40 to $50 oil. Oil doesn't run at those prices. Not the kind of oil that the world's now depending on. Bottom of the barrel type oil, deep sea oil, tar sand oil. That oil doesn't come out of the sand unless we see $80, $90, $100 prices. So what we're going to find very early in the next economic recovery is there's going to be even less oil than there was before the recession began. And while there can be a financial market bailout for all the troubled Wall Street firms, there can be no energy bailout. We're going to encounter triple-digit oil prices very quickly, and that's going to be the new reality that we live in. How's that going to change the world? Well, it's going to radically reconfigure economic geography. Distance will cost money is the mantra of the new local economies that will emerge from the ashes of globalization. Because just like the world oil industry doesn't work on $40 to $50 oil, guess what? The global economy doesn't work on $100 oil. Because the global economy is about moving things around from places where we can make them the cheapest to places where we can sell them for the most money. And what moves them around is that $100 to $150 oil. And when oil's in triple-digit levels, all of a sudden the wage advantage behind producing steel in China is absolutely dwarfed by the transport costs of first moving iron ore from Brazil across the Pacific Ocean and then moving it back across the Pacific Ocean and finished steel. There's only an hour and a half labor time embodied in U.S. steel production. That's going to be dwarfed by what the cost of schlepping that kind of weight across the oceans. Who would have dreamt that triple-digit oil prices will breathe new life into America's hollowed-out Rust Belt? But that will be the new economic geography that is about to emerge from oil scarcity. And there will be other things that will be bringing back long-lost jobs home. All of a sudden, blue-collar jobs are going to turn into green-collar jobs. And while it may take some time for them to get used to each other's caress, Archie Bunker's about to get into bed with Al Gore. Because when unions go through the math, they will discover that the factories that their members work in emit 1/3 to 1/2 less carbon than the factories overseas that have been stealing their membership's jobs. And in that kind of world, you want the price of emissions to be as high as possible. Because the higher the price of carbon emissions, the greater your economic advantage. That isn't tree-hugging environmentalism, just plain old profit-maximizing economics. And the kind of economics that's going to bring a lot of manufacturing and carbon-intensive jobs back home. Certainly not every industry is going to be flourishing. The auto industry will find that recovery will be a double-edged sword, because with economic recovery will come the $4 a gallon and soon to be $7 a gallon gasoline prices. Detroit's problem isn't just that it produces too many cars. Detroit's problem is the wrong kind of cars. It produces double the cars that it's going to be able to sell in the next 5 to 6 years. Because when oil prices get back to triple-digit levels, we're going to find that instead of a 16 to 17 million vehicle market, we have a 7 to 8 million vehicle market. We won't be able to stop oil prices from getting back to new record triple-digit highs. But what kind of impact those prices have on our economy is very much up to us. It's not up to monetary policy. It's not up to fiscal policy. The Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve Board, the U.S. Treasury, the Department of Finance, none of them can produce oil. None of them can stop us from consuming oil. What we've got to do is find another way of powering our GDP and using less and less energy. And the choices that we have to make, choices that affect what we eat, where we work, where we live, those are micro decisions made by every household. And those are decisions that our economy's future depends on. Thank you very much.